Okay, so following on from sticking the backing onto the show fabric, you then have to make sure that the fabric that you're going to put on the roller is going to be square so that it rolls up squarely on each side. So a square, straight edge, right angle on the top edge, and coming down the side to make sure you get that square. Mark that first and then cut down that square. Okay, so having measured the tube, the length of the tube which you've got from the measurements that you've already taken and written down on your little table on the instructions, the length of the tube, mark that all the way around the tube so that you can follow the line. If you, at this point, if you have a vise that you can put it in, that would be the best way to work with the hacksaw. If not, then you're holding as hard as you can on a firm surface and taking the hacksaw round on the line and then moving, turning the tube, again cutting, turning the tube, keeping to that line all the time, going all the way around until such time as you get through it. Takes a while, but it's worth being patient. And if you do have a vise, then that would be an easier way to work. Keep going until it comes off. Okay, so having taken the end off, this end now needs cleaning up with file. If you have a pipe cutter, then you can use that as well, and that gives you a lovely finished edge. Okay, again, using the measurements that you've got from on your chart, you measure the bottom bar to the length, mark again, and then cut that to length so that it will fit in the bottom tube of your blind. Again, if you have a vise, that would be the perfect way to work. If you don't have those sorts of facilities, then maybe you get somebody to hold the end so that you can cut it through on that line. Not so bad because this is plastic rather than metal, but again, finish the edge off with a file. So the next process is using this sticky strip, which actually comes in the kit, so make sure it doesn't get thrown away because it's in the kit, but it's not mentioned in the kit. This is to make the top of the blind so that it can slide into the roller tube. So it's a self-adhesive strip. You peel the backing and you stick that strip, the sticky bit, onto the blind along the top edge. So feeding it along, sticking it down along the top edge of the blind, peeling back the backing as you go. When you've reached the end, then you cut that length to suit the blind. Now, for extra security, rather than just depending on the glue, I'm going to staple it as well. So you get the stapler and simply put one through every so often. This one I'm probably going to use about 6, so it stays in place when you're sliding it into the tube, like so, stapled in place. Okay, now it's got to be fed into this tube. The tube has a shape on the end. The fabric slides into that shape, so it needs to be folded back on itself and then it will come down through. We'll show you a close-up in a moment. So that feeds into the tube. And the fabric comes at the bottom like so. So it's a case of getting that strip along with the fabric that it's stuck onto into the shape, and then the extra fabric comes out through the groove. fit. Okay. To be able to put the bottom bar into the bottom of the blind, to give it some weight when it comes up and down, you need to make a channel for that to fit in. So what I've done here is marked a line at 10 centimeters all the way across the bottom of the blind, and then this bottom will fold up, line up with that line there, and then I shall stitch all the way along there to make the panel, the channel for this. Starting to stitch now, and I'm using a zigzag stitch, you'll notice, so that it neatens the edge at the same time. So folding the bottom edge up to that line and stitching along that line to make the whole channel across the bottom. To feed the whole thing along as you go. You might need somebody else to give you a hand, maybe, just to hold it and feed it through at the same time as you're sewing. So now the blind is complete. The bottom bar is inserted into the channel at the bottom. All that's left to do is to insert your ends, depending on which side you want your child safety device. In this case, we mount it on the right. That end goes into the tube, that end goes into the tube. The other side, push them in tightly, and then they are ready to hang up between your brackets.